Once upon a time, in a tiny village out in the middle of nowhere, there lived this blind beggar named R. Everybody in the village knew him. He was kind of a fixture, always sitting on the dusty path that led to the village stream. People called him R, the beggar, and they were surprisingly nice to him. They dropped coins in his bowl every time they passed, and some even brought him food regularly. R was super grateful, always saying thanks in his soft, raspy voice. But here's the thing, nobody really knew where R came from. He just showed up one day and stuck around. No backstory, no family, just him, his walking stick, and his bowl. One evening, this village girl named Samto was heading back home from the stream. On her way, she spotted R passed out near the bushes. Her eyes darted straight to the bowl. It had some money in it. Without thinking twice, she tiptoed over and snatched the bowl, trying not to make a sound. Just as she turned to leave, R straight-up vanished, poof, gone into thin air. Samto froze. Cold fear ran through her veins. She dropped the bowl, freaked out, and ran home like she was being chased by a ghost. She locked herself in her room, heart pounding. What was that? Who the heck was R? What if he came back for her? Later that night, while she was sitting on her bed trying to process everything, her legs started itching bad. She scratched like crazy, even rubbed on some ointment. It calmed down for a bit, and she eventually dozed off. But when she woke up, oh boy, her legs weren't legs anymore. They were goat legs. She screamed bloody murder. Her dad, Mazi Chukwa, busted into her room, and the moment he saw her legs, his jaw hit the floor. "What the hell happened to you?" he shouted. Samto, scared out of her mind, lied. She told him that Ara had begged her for some money, and when she said no, he cursed her and disappeared. Her dad bought a tat first. He stormed out the next morning, full of rage, headed to confront R. But when he got to her usual spot, empty. R was gone. Just like that. Mazi waited. Hours passed. Still nothing. He finally gave up and went home, where Samto was now in even more pain. Her cries were unbearable. Desperate, Mazi rushed her to see his friend Yuku, the village healer. But Yuku was stumped. He'd never seen anything like it. He sent them to another healer near the mountains. They tried everyone, nothing worked. Samto was stuck, literally bedridden from the pain. Her legs were useless. The whole village caught wind of the story, and people started showing up just to get a glimpse of the girl with goat legs. Time passed. Her dad, running out of options, finally visited the village Sira, wise woman with real spiritual insight. She told him the truth. Ara wasn't just some blind beggar. He was on a mission, and Samto had messed with the wrong spirit. "Your daughter's transformation?" The seer said, "That's just the beginning. If she doesn't make things right, her whole body's gonna turn into a goat." Mazi was horrified. Okay, how do we fix this? "She has to complete Ur's mission," the seer replied. "But only she can figure out what that mission is." Mazi rushed home and called Samto out on her lies. She broke down and confessed everything, how she tried to steal from Ara, and how he vanished. Her father was crushed. He had always provided for her, and worse, this wasn't her first time stealing. People had warned them before, but her mom always brushed it off, saying Samto would never do such a thing. But now, the consequences were too real. Samto knew she had to fix it. She dragged herself to the same spot R used to sit, hoping for answers. People stared, whispered, pointed at her goat legs. She felt their judgment, but stayed put. Nothing happened that day. The next day, same thing. This time, 2 girls from the village mocked her, bleating like goats and laughing in her face. She cried hard, but she didn't quit. On the 3rd day, rain poured down, and she took cover in a run-down little hut near the stream, one she had seen before, but never paid attention to. Inside, she found an old woman, sick and alone. Samto didn't hesitate. She cleaned the hut, made her food, and helped her get comfortable. The woman was so touched, she cried. The next day, back at her spot, Samto noticed a young boy heading to the stream. He looked so down. She asked what was wrong, and he just broke down sobbing. His story hit her in the gut. His mom had abandoned him, his dad died. Now he was living with a cruel stepmom who blamed him for everything and barely fed him. Samto gave him food and promised she'd help. The next day, he brought her a bracelet his mom had left with him, the only clue to her identity. Samto took it, hoping it'd lead to something. That night, her dad came home with a mysterious, powerful woman brought all the way from another village. The woman looked at Samto, then froze when she spotted the bracelet. "Where did you get that?" she asked sharply. Samto explained, and the woman gasped. "That's my son's bracelet. That boy, you found him?" Turns out, she had been forced to give up her child years ago by her own family, who didn't want her distracted from her spiritual destiny. They hid the baby and cursed him so she couldn't find him, not even with her powers. Samto took her to the boy's house, where they found his stepmom beating him again. The woman snapped, raised her hands, and turned the stepmom into a goat. Instantly right then. Samto looked down and her legs were normal again. Curse was broken. Samto finally realized the truth. Helping the boy was R's mission. What she didn't know was that Ara was the spirit of the boy's father, watching from beyond, hoping someone kind enough would help his son escape his suffering. The woman hugged her son tightly, thanking Samto with all her heart. She promised to take care of him and left the village with him finally free. Samto went home changed. For real this time, no more lies, no more stealing. She had learned the hard way. Moral of the story? Actions have consequences. Don't take what isn't yours, because the payback might hit harder than you think. And if you've got someone in your life doing wrong, don't cover for them, call them out. Because one little mistake can turn into something way bigger if left unchecked. And above all, tell the truth. Lies might feel like the easy way out, but they always come back around.